In simple terms, I think it was just the right time. In the back of my mind, signed a new contract in 18 after the Memorial Cup. It was for this length of time, and so I think that was in the back of my mind as it would be time at age 69. So there's different things that have or could play into it, maybe to stay on or not. And I don't want to talk too much about it, but the health issues I had a year and a half ago, probably as you are laying around and you're not doing much for a few months, probably cinched that this was going to be the time. Variety of things. Maybe ask Lori. I don't know. Play a little more golf. Help my brother on the farm. Come in here once in a while or talk to Al. Travel a little bit. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think we have firm plans. We have an idea of what we want to do. I got 2 daughters in Brooklyn, New York, and I got 2 daughters in BC, and family 4 or 5 hours from here up north in Saskatchewan. So to see family is going to take up a fairly significant part of the time overall.
John, I guess being a couple months now removed this past season, can you, I guess, more words this past season, how what the experience, especially with Connor and now, the crowd that you guys had in the second half of the season?
Yeah, like I don't know if you can really do justice to it. I think it was a once in a lifetime situation for all involved probably, and I say that only because despite the many great players that played in this league and that I played against many years ago and after that and so forth, and through the ones in the last 8 or 9 years, Barzals and so forth, there was never anything like this. And that's was shown by the crowds on the road. 19 of his last 20 games in the regular season were sold out. What you all saw firsthand here, what he did. And some of it just slips by, seeing something on whatever online or since the draft, things that I knew it at the time, but when he came back from the World Junior this year, he's always a hard guy to make that you don't to take time off. We were going to be in a playoff run and we needed him to play. Like whatever it was, 2 days later against Calgary, and then we managed to get him to stay off the ice for a couple of days. But like his first game back, when every other player in the league was same as our guys. Sammy was resting when he came back. Was resting. We beat Calgary 6-2, and he had 6 points. And so that's why I think you can say confidently that there hasn't been anybody before him, and who knows when there'll be somebody else. And there's lots of things that we had to address and manage around and help him and put up with, et cetera, et cetera. But they're too numerous to talk about, and there's, we've repeated them amongst ourselves a lot in a way and tried to deal with them. And so it was a once in a lifetime experience for all of us.
How active were you in the pursuit of Alan? What was it about that made it up to the top of the list?
Well, I was somewhat active. I think I don't know, Pritch could speak to it maybe, like for just different reasons. The relationship that Pritch and I have had, the relationship I have with Sean, it would just sort of, seem like a natural thing to be part of initially for sure. Want to care about the Pats and wanted to help in any way I could. If somebody said, well, you're not involved, that would have been fine too. But it would just seem like it was happening that way. It was going to happen that way. And, there was probably 4 or 5 people identified and 2 or 3 talked to. Al mentioned either last night or this morning. I sent him a text. I knew I'd sent him a text. He was in Switzerland at the time with the under 18. And when I think he basically said in text back or conversation when he came back that he could be available. I remember saying to Gord, and when we had a meeting with Sean, that he automatically went to the top of the list. And so in that aspect, I guess the organization got the guy they wanted because they agreed after meeting him, and the team is in very good hands.
I'm getting used to it. I had an apparel package dropped off yesterday so I put the colors on for the first time this morning, and it's exciting. And I talk about the history of the franchise. It's the tradition of the logo, the players that have come through here. I'm honored to, follow John, to this organization and this opportunity. So I'm getting used to it and excited about it.
What do you think of taking the lead and kind of after Connor Bedard for this organization, trying to build around it?
Well, certainly that's I've been in that position before at times. Maybe not necessarily, at that level, but in my time in the Ontario Hockey League, I had Steven Stamkos, who's a pretty good player in his own right, and had him for 2 years. And so you know what, you get to work. I believe in a draft and development model. I want our teams to grow up together. So certainly a player like Connor moves on and is going to have a great career. I think it's great that he moves on from here as an alumni of the Pats. And but for me and our scouting staff and our coaching staff is we know there's a hole to fill, but we get to work and we start the process of building our team and building what the future looks like a year down the road, 2 and 3 and 4 years down the road.
How far into that hole are you guys right now?
Not really far, to be honest. I think as much as I've been around the Western Hockey League for the last 3 seasons, at the same time I've been responsible for scouting across the country. Which has included the USHL and NCAA as well at times. And I had a pretty good handle on the Western Hockey League and probably spent a little bit more time in Ontario and Quebec. So, and when I was at games, my focus was a lot around the best players, national team players, and building those under 18 and national junior teams. So when you're managing a team, you're watching games a little bit differently in terms of getting to know the roster, getting to know the younger players. So I've got some work to do with the staff here to get to know the players, both as players and as people. But at the same time, part of my plan will be is that, to get them on the ice, get through training camp, get through preseason, look at the first 15, 20 games, work with our staff, see where we're at. But I've got some work to do to get to know the roster and the players that are here.
I have a briefer question because I want to ask each of you a similar variation of the same question. John, leading up to today, how does it feel now, having been able to say it out loud, that you're retiring after all of this time? What was the emotional process getting to today?
Well, it was certainly tough. I mean, I don't think you avoid thinking about it. We've talked about it, Lori and I talked about it probably for the last year or longer. sometime during the season, or the spring, both Gord and Sean asked me about it, if this is what I was going to continue to think like this. So I think it's, in some ways, it's been dealt with. But this morning when Brad said to me, are you ready for this? I wasn't at that time. Like, all of a sudden, after Gord and Al had spoke quickly to the full staff. So yeah, I think it's going to be for a while, it'll be a continual process to not deal with it, but just to figure out how you're going to walk in your life without, in my case, without deadlines and pressures and phone calls and stuff like that. You know, but no matter what you're retiring from, that would be a change. So for me, it's an adrenaline thing that, to be honest, I've always liked and enjoyed, I think. So it'll be a change, but I just look again to our family situations and stuff, and spending time with kids and grandkids as being a significant part of what we do. Then that balances it out.
What did your wife say to this morning?
I don't know, what did you say? Yeah, so hard day. Yeah, it is. It's a hard day in a lot of ways, but it's something that I never felt like, I never believed I was wavering from it. When I was asked a couple times again by Pritchard, by Sean, and when I answered Taylor's questions, I 100% believe it's the right time. Could I still do stuff? Yeah, I could still do stuff. Probably at a long hour level, but it's just time. That's all.
Gord, you had some tears. It's clear that you guys very much care about each other. When he said, yeah, I'm going to retire, how did that conversation go behind the scenes after you left?
Well, yeah, I think we first probably started talking about it, I don't know, midway through the season. And as we got closer to this time, it was becoming real, and John was integral in the process of getting to today and hiring Al. And yeah, it's emotional because my previous time with the Pats, I was director of hockey operations, and I was really growing up in that role, working side by side with John. So we've worked together for 9 years. So I think probably it's hitting me kind of like it's hitting him today a little bit. So it's definitely emotional, but yeah, I think it's real today, and up until today, it didn't quite hit home. But yeah, we've spent a lot of time together over the years, and he's been a huge mentor to me, and he's helped me grow in my role. And when I was the director of hockey operations, he's also been a huge mentor to me in my new role as CEO. There's been a lot of times I've counseled with him, got advice. Al, I'm going to do the same thing with. You have the opportunity to be sitting here in between these two gentlemen, and the amount of experience they have combined. Crazy not to lean on them for guidance and support. So I think that's what we always tried to do. And yeah, it's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster, but it's also a really exciting time. And I know John is incredibly passionate about his family and how important his family is to him, particularly his daughters and his grandkids. If you ever see his grandkids or his daughters walk into the room, when he's in the room, he lights up. So I know that's going to be important to him, to spend more time with them and spend more time with Lori and travel with Lori, like they said. And yeah, I think it's a long way of saying, I guess it's emotional. It hits you today, and we knew it was coming because we've been talking about it for a while, but it's a little bit different, I guess, sitting here now.
Different emotions for you. You're not saying goodbye, you're saying hello. How was it keeping this under wraps until today, when you're coming back to Saskatchewan?
Well, we did our best to collectively keep it as, quiet as you can. It's always a challenge in today's world with, social media and all those things. Like John, when you spend as much time in the game as you do, there are people that you need to reach out to in advance that with those relationships that you trust, and you don't want them to hear about it after the fact. So, you reach out to those people but yeah, I think, again, coming back to Saskatchewan is comfortable for Kelly and I. We immensely enjoyed our time in Moose Jaw. We made lifelong friends there. We were married at Buffalo Pound Lake. We spend time in Moose Jaw in the summers out of the lake with close friends. The people are fantastic in the province. They're passionate about their sports. So, that familiarity, that comfort, knowing we're coming to a place that is passionate about the Pats and the fan base and the partners that we have here, it feels right.
Al, was this you looking or them calling you kind of situation?
I guess a little of both. Somewhere along the way in the last few months, I had made a decision to, keep my eyes and ears open in terms of some opportunities that I would consider. And so, as John mentioned, this process started with a text from John, and John reached out because he had heard that some other teams had reached out, or there was some other interest, and there was possibility that I was considering leaving Hockey Canada. So, a lot of the reason that I'm here is because of John and that text. And so the dialogue started then, and we went through the process, and at the end of the day, there was some decisions along the way, there was some discussions along the way, but with my relationship with John, with the process I went through with Sean Semple and Gavin, and in particular, a lot of time with Gord, and Gord and I go back to when he first started here with the Pats, in the role that he had as Director of Hockey Operations. I was impressed with him as a young guy in the game at that time, and I knew what John thought of him as a young guy in the game, to the point that I brought Gord to National Under-18 camp to be a guest Director of Operations and manage one of the selection camp teams as we prepared for the Linka Gretzky. So, the time with Gord on top of the entire process made this the right place and the right fit for me and my wife, Kelly. That's a process we're working through right now, and I expect that we'll have some more information and a further announcement on that direction by the end of this week.
This question's for Gord. Talk about the current financial health of the team right now, especially coming out of the season.
Yeah, I mean, we had I think overall we had a good year. We had great attendance overall for the year, with the attention on our team, particularly in the second half when Connor came back from the World Juniors. The building was full. We had great success in the merchandise sales, which was also beneficial. So yeah, I think overall the team is in a good spot.
Do you have a plan to try and keep this full cup next season?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Full buildings are great. I think part of it is capitalizing on the excitement and the momentum we built up with Connor and the team. Overall, we had a really good year, particularly in the second half in the playoffs, and that Game 7 didn't go the way we wanted it to. But I think we have a great fan base. We have very loyal season ticket holders. And I think the other part of that is we had new fans come to the game this year, and yeah, they came to see Connor and the rest of the team. But I'd like to think that they enjoyed what they saw on the ice, but they also enjoyed the entire game night experience of what we do here at the Brand Center. I'll stack our game night experience up against any other team in the league. I think we do an incredible job of putting on a great show. For the, call it 3 hours that fans are in attendance. There's an hour of hockey and there's 2 other hours of entertainment. So I think it's continuing to build on the game night experience, capitalizing on the momentum that we generated last year, and continue to expand our fan base and have more and more people come to the Brand Center and take in the great action on the ice.
It's going to be fun, and I've joked with John and Pritch about this. I think part of the fan base will be critical in terms of really we went to the Pats, and the other half will say they can have them. So, again, great relationships with the people in Moose Jaw. You look at Jason Ripplinger and Mark O'Leary there. They were, individuals that worked for me. Rip was my assistant GM, and then got promoted when I moved on. Mark O'Leary was a longtime assistant coach. We promoted him to head coach when made the decision to let Tim Hunter go. James Gallo was my right-hand man in Moose Jaw and is a great friend. So, yeah, as much as the dynamic will change a little bit, but I think we can have some fun with it. I think Rip and I can have some fun with it. I think the business teams, the marketing teams can have some fun with it, and I'm excited to go into Moose Jaw with my new team. As long as we win them.